also see this. White women with at least a college degree, the only group of white voters that really kind of is on the left politically, aligned with progressive causes, democratic politics. Give you an example here. It's that DEI question, right here, that we asked about in our poll. We had two big statements we read to voters. Basically, do you want to continue DEI programs, or do you think they should be ended? And again, look at this divide here. White men, no degree, end it. White men with a degree, end it, they say. White women, no degree, end it, they say, by double digits. And then white women with a college degree, completely different by a nearly 40-point margin.
I did not know what to. I sat here for 20 minutes thinking of the title for this thumbnail. I didn't know what to name this thumbnail. And, you know, I just, sometimes when I can't think of a thumbnail, I literally get up off my computer, I stop thinking about work, and I just go for a walk. And today I took the dog out. We walked around the land. I cut a little bit of firewood. And I said, you know, I don't understand, man. When it comes to dating, when it comes to women and politics and feminism, I'm like, it's like, how does a guy do it anymore? Like, it's game over for dating. It's just game over. And that's what I decided to title this, because that's how I really feel. I really feel for long-term relationships. I'm not talking about hookups. I'm not talking about shagging. I'm not talking about getting your winky wet by going out and having some fun. I'm talking about falling in love and finding that perfect right woman for you and having enough in common and falling in love to have the feeling that it's going to be okay. Now, whenever I think of the dating scene, whenever I think of what's going on with women and everything else, this is exactly what comes to mind. It's game over. There's just so little chance. I can't tell you how many times I had a relationship where I thought, well, this is it. This is it. This is good. Everything's working. No warning signs. We get along great. We've got similar long-term and short-term goals. Hey, you know something? I think this is going to, oh, never mind. She's got another dude's dick in her mouth. Look, that's happened. How many times has that happened to so many of us? And every time that happens, a little part of a man dies. Just a little bit. A little part of you dies. And so even at some point when you do find somebody that you're dating and things are going well or whatever, there's always part of you that says, nah, man, I'm never all in. I'm you know, it's like playing poker. You're always going to keep a little pile of chips. You know, you're going to keep a little pile of chips so that you can take that pile of chips and walk away from the table and still be able to live with yourself, to still be able to survive. But how many times have you seen people that have like a full house, or they've got, I don't know, a really nice ace high flush? You think you got the nuts, and then, oh man, they got four of a kind. They got 4 threes, and you never saw it coming. And here you went all in and you bet the farm and you lost. That's what dating is like now. And what caused me to want to talk about this, you know, the other day I did this video about this Love is Blind star ditching her partner over politics. And she came out and said, oh, it wasn't a TV stunt. She said, I actually really felt like this. And they followed it up with a bunch of more stories of women leaving men because the men voted for Trump, or the men didn't vote at all, and they weren't into the causes, and they weren't the NPCs. And they even say here, it's happening in real life too. Oh, you voted for that orange man bad. Now, I'm not going to read the story. That's not really but I did look this up and look into this a little bit more. And this is a story from Oddspedia Insights team, and this is from just a week ago. And it says, beyond the ballot box, politics in personal relationships. They said that roughly 15% of all relationships recently ended because of voting. Spoiler alert, it wasn't the guys that said, oh, you voted for Kamala, I'm leaving you. It wasn't that. It was the women leaving the men because the men didn't vote the right way. 1 in 6 people have ended the romantic relationship based on politics alone. And now two-thirds of Democrats, roughly, say that they're only going to date somebody that is of the same political mindset. Well, we've seen how feminist and how left-leaning women are when it comes to dating. And it's not even they say, oh, well, it's if you're a conservative. It's if you don't agree with me, if you don't push the same narratives I do. And that's why I kind of was like, man, how do you navigate this as a dude, right? Even if you're like, I'm not really into politics, I just don't care, like leave me out of it. That's not good enough for a lot of these women. They want you to be an activist. They want you to be spitting the same stuff that they do. And I ask you guys, and this is a real conversation I want to have with you guys, you know, because I read the comments, I read the live chat that is scrolling along right now. Genuine question. What do you do if you're going out on dates and she's cute and you like her and you enjoy your time with her, and then she starts bringing up Bravo Lima Mike? She starts bringing up the LGHD TV community and how men can be women and women can be men. What do you do? I know a lot of you guys say, well, if she's cute, I'll smash. But then I'm never going to, or I might smash her for a little while, but I'm not talking to her ever again. There's a lot of you guys that say, I wouldn't even smash, dude. I'm not putting up with this anymore. I'm done with it. And I know you certainly wouldn't get into a long-term relationship where you're giving a woman the option to A, hate you over politics, and B, take half your crap as they walk out the door. So when you have so many women that are, I think 63 or 66% of women are Democrat or Democrat leaning in the younger brackets, and those are mostly the age of women everybody wants to date. And then you take on top of that 60 or 70% of women are overweight, and 60% of them are this, and 60%. That's where you just start getting into, God, forget it. Game over.
Game over, man. It's game over. What are we going to do now? What are we going to do?
Game over, man. Game over. That's how it feels. They say, imagine a first date where conversation turns political. For most Americans, it's a cringe-worthy scenario. 3/4 of us believe politics is a topic best avoided on a first date. Does the red flag fly if someone you're dating has no opinions on major political issues? Would you prioritize politics over family? And does political alignment even make someone more attractive? Well, Oddspedia surveyed 5,000 Americans and asked the juicy questions around love, relationships, family, and U.S. politics. Many of you guys have said in the past, I stay out of politics. I just stay out of politics. And many of us have returned an answer, you may ignore politics, but politics will ignore you. Politics is downstream from culture. And if you see the culture swinging hard left, politics is going to follow. And if you just ignore it, before you know it, all of a sudden you're going to have fathers losing their fathers losing their children to mothers that want to run to California and make their little boy into a little girl. And yes, that happens. You'll see women wanting to do the deletus fetus up until 9 months, until the moment of birth. And you say, yeah, but that's culture. Well, the culture went that direction, and the politics and the laws followed it. And I don't even like that. I would so love not to be political anymore, but you can't. You just can't, because it's controlling so many factions of our lives, including your love life now. And now, due to most recent polls, they're even saying it doesn't matter if you say I'm staying out of it and I'm not interested. That's not enough for these women, because these women are activists. You need to be involved, and you need to be on their side. That is all there is to it. And so the days of just staying out of it, at least if you're involved with society, if you're dating at all and you haven't gone completely John Galt, well, that means that you're going to have to interact with other human beings. 1 in 6 have ended or considered ending a romantic relationship due to political incompatibility. A quarter of Americans avoid family gatherings due to conflicts over politics. 2/3 of Americans conceal their political beliefs to maintain family harmony. Well, that sounds mostly like conservatives, because I know the leftists will jump right out there and yell at you in your face and say, don't you dare go to Thanksgiving with your conservative parents unless you educate them. So they say, we used to say you don't talk about religion, you don't talk about politics, and you don't talk about your job. That's how much that was drilled into my head as a kid when it came to dating. I didn't have to look that up. My parents must have told me that 18 million times as a young man before I dated. But now that they dug into this a little bit, they're finding a large portion of young generation, like the old Gen Z, young millennials, and especially the Democrats and left-leaning ones, that's all they want to talk about on a first date, is they want to get into your politics because it is their life. It is their personality. It is who they are. It is what represents them most in the world. So, of course, they're going to want to talk about it. And just as we saw in the clip that we showed the other day, you can't just say, like, well, I'm going to stay out of this. I don't want to be a part of it. I'm not interested. Because that to them is enough to not date you, to not even be with you. And they say apoliticism is seen as a red flag. Apoliticism, or the lack of interest in politics and political matters, is seen as a red flag for many Americans. Over 1/3 say it's a deal breaker, and that's 1/3 of everybody. But for young Democratic women, it is a huge thing. If you just say, I stay out of it, that is a huge red flag for them. And I think what'll probably happen is that young men that want to date, young men that want to get laid, young men that want to be out on the dating market, they're either not going to talk about it, or they're going to say all the things that make the girl think he's on their side, and then he's going to take her back and show her his trouser snake and let him play with the pet mamba. And when she's done playing with it, he's going to blow her off because he knows there's no chance there for a relationship, because he just lied to pretend like he's down with Bravo Lima Mike, and then he got a piece of tail, and he's bouncing because he knows she's probably a leftist. And that's the crazy part of where all this stuff is going. What's the percent of single women that identify as liberal, leftist, socialist, and Democrat? And what's the percentage of them that would not date someone that isn't politically aligned with their views? And I said, let's specifically look at the age 18 through 40, which is, I don't know too many of us that want to date over 40, no matter how old you are. The evidence leans towards about 45% of those women not dating someone who isn't politically aligned within their views, often meaning they wouldn't date a conservative man. This reflects a trend where political ideology increasingly acts as a deal breaker, particularly post-Trump, with many expressing strong preferences against dating across the table. An interesting finding is the variation by age and region, with younger women in urban areas like Washington, D.C., showing even stronger reluctance to date conservatives, highlighting how local political climates shape dating dynamics. So this is at least confirming the fact that your best chance of at least being able to date for long term and finding someone is to get the hell away from cities. The smaller the town, the smaller the area, the better your odds of meeting somebody. And the larger the city and larger the town, the worst, obviously, because most large cities skew left-leaning because, well, that's a whole nother topic. We won't even get into the reasons anyway. And they also say this too, the age group of 18 to 29, 40% identify as liberal, and 66% of them are single. So the vast majority of young women that are single are left-leaning. Or you could say the majority of left-leaning women are single, whichever way you want to say it. which means statistically, most of the women you're going to come across that are dating on the apps or want to have anything to do with you, well, they probably don't want to have anything to do with you once they get to know you. I'll leave it with this little film clip. Now look, I do not like Alec Baldwin. Alec Baldwin's brain, my brain just went blank on Alec Baldwin. Oh, you can tell I'm getting older, kids and kidettes, if I can't remember Alec Baldwin. Anyway, I want you to listen to this, right? Alec Baldwin, I don't like him. Let me just be clear. I don't like his politics. I don't like him as a human being. I think he got away with something very dastardly recently. I think he bought his way out of a crime that he should have been jailed for. I do not like him. Let me be very clear. However, that being said, imagine that you're a man, I don't know, in your 60s. You're a Hollywood actor. You're a director. You're successful. You're an accomplished man. And your nobody of a wife speaks to you like this on a red carpet.
It's going to be great. You're a winner.
Oh my God, when I'm talking, you're not talking.
Sorry.
No, when I'm talking, you're not talking. This is why, yes, we'll have to just cut him out of the show.
It's going to be great. You're a winner.
Oh my God, when I'm talking, you're not talking.
Sorry.
No, when I'm talking, you're not talking.
I think I would lose my absolute shit. I think I would turn to her and say, how about you shut the fuck up? And then there's a fight. Then there's a fight on the red carpet. He was saying something nice to her. And that is a man that right there that is just, he's over it. That is a man that's over it right there.
It's going to be great. You're a winner.
Oh my God, when I'm talking, you're not talking.
Sorry.
No, when I'm talking, you're not talking. This is why, yes, we'll have to just cut him out of the show.
I'd lose my shit. I'd be like, hey, do you remember how I almost got arrested for ending somebody on set? I'm going to end you tonight if you do that shit again to me. I don't know what happened. Yeah, like Shatner's, I don't know what happened. She had a lot to drink, and I guess she decided to go swimming and forgot to come up for a breath. I don't know what happened. I just don't know what happened. But for Stephen, or for Alec Baldwin, I have one thing for you.
Everything woke turns to shit.
Enjoy your life. You know what's funny? He's going to be punished. He's punished more living with her than he would have ever been in prison. He's being more punished with her than he ever was in prison. That's the funny part.